Hello and welcome to Adobe Live. Thank you so much for joining us for day 2 of the Adobe Express Bootcamp. If we didn't meet yesterday, I am Jordan Danae Ellis. I'm a community manager for Adobe Express, and I am also an entrepreneur for the past 13 years. So I bring all kinds of weird background to this job. So if you have questions about social media or how to use Adobe Express for your brand or business, that's what I normally talk about here on Adobe Live. But this week we're talking about using Adobe Express for your personal brand, which is really fun. There are so many things you can do in Adobe Express that are like just for fun. So that's a little bit what we're talking about. And today we're diving into making custom playlists for your Spotify or whatever music you listen to. If you didn't join us yesterday, we went on like a little bit of a deep dive into Adobe Express, the homepage, how to set up a brand, how to use libraries. So if you're interested in more info about that, you can check out our video from yesterday. But today we're going to, dive into a little more of the design. So that's what we're up to today. Thank you to everyone who joined in the chat. Hello, Cody, Barbara, Sean. Thank you all so much for being in the chat. And like I said, if you have any questions about Adobe Express, feel free to ask if you're live. If you're watching a replay, you can find me at Jordan Danae Ellis all over the internet. Happy to answer questions as we go. But okay, let's dive in. Here's the Adobe Express homepage. It's all pretty self-explanatory. If this is your first intro to Adobe Express ever, this is Adobe's quick and easy tool to make designs on the go, quick designs. This is the desktop version, which is my personal preference, but there is also a mobile version and you can use it on a tablet too. So wherever you are, you can start designing, which is fun. And when you're signed into your Adobe account, they sync across platforms, which is also super cool. So today we are going to make playlist covers. I think genuinely, I'm like not even a huge music person. I like music, but movies and TV are definitely more my jam. But I've started getting into making custom playlist covers because I think the playlist and album covers or templates on Adobe Express are some of my favorite. And I actually sometimes use them for other projects just because I think the templates are so good. So we can start by just like searching and seeing what there is and kind of deciding what direction we want to go. So my two favorite search terms are playlist or album cover. Let's start with album cover because I feel like those are really fun. And these change all the time. There are so many templates in Adobe Express that I feel like even if you are a pro designer and you are like used to using professional tools, you can still get a lot of inspiration just from scrolling the Adobe Express templates. There's so much to look at, which is really cool. And I really love the, I guess, diversity of template styles. I think that's something that the Express designers do really well. Man, these are beautiful. We're going to talk more about templates tomorrow and how to choose the right one for your project. But something that I think is really fun to think about when looking at templates is, this is great, is templates are like the backbone of your project. So say, for example, we want to make like a chill morning vibes template or project. It may be like, you might think that you want to look at the sort of calm, chill templates, and you can. But the thing that's nice is you can change anything by like changing the colors, changing the photos, changing the filters. So we're gonna show that off today by using like one template and doing it in multiple styles. Let's check out playlist too and just see what we want to do. Some of these I recognize because I've used them already. I've definitely used this one, this one. Actually, I guess I'll just show off too, in case you don't know what I'm talking about. I use Spotify, But if you make a playlist, you can design your own custom covers. And so this is one of the ones that I still need to create a playlist cover for. I made it for my birthday recently, so it's a little bit of like party vibes. So let's start there. And feel free, chat. Hey, Robert. Hey, Sean. Feel free to let me know like what you all are feeling. This is, I think I said this yesterday, this is my first time streaming by myself this week. So feel free to give me suggestions. We'll see what we end up with. Okay, I'm going to maybe pick something that's has a lot of layers. I am really into like the digital collage vibe and project style right now. So let me see. There were a few up here that I think might be a good start. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna type in digital collage and go that way. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm such a sucker for these. Maybe let's do, okay. Let's start with this template. Like I said, the playlist that I want to make a template or a cover for is my birthday party playlist. So I might swap this out with a picture of me. Robert did my first Adobe Express animating today. Sweet. What did you animate? We can show off animation too. It won't work to post a playlist as an animation, but we can also take our cover and like find a version we can post on social. Okay, so I like this a lot. I think I want to make it a little bit more dynamic, but first I'll start out by replacing, actually first I'm going to do the thing I try to do anytime I open a template, which is check out the layers over here and see what we're working with. If you remember yesterday, I did like a checkerboard template that all of the checkers were individually colored. And so that is like a much bigger project than I intended to take on. So sometimes it's nice to look at the layers and see what you're working with, how the template is set up. And this only has a few, which is my favorite way to start. So I am going to replace this photo with a photo of me. Something that I really love about the replace button here is that you can see none of the filters or enhancements are turned on. So like this photo is not already filtered or edited, but if it was, when you hit replace, all of those elements that are on the original image will go onto the second one. So this one does have the background removed already. So when I hit replace, and I could choose a stock photo, which is great, but I'm gonna make this a little personal and use a photo of me. I'm gonna use this one, which is the photo I used for my party invitation. So we'll just be all the way on brand with this. While that is replacing, oh, Robert's doing some sort of challenge. Let us know what that is. 4 more to go. That's really cool. Okay, so now I have my photo here. I'm going to, I think, change the colors of the rest of the project because the like orange, purple, yellow is not matching the template that we have here, but this will actually perfectly match the brand we set up yesterday. So we can, oops, pull that back in. Let's see if it is going to save. Okay, we'll do that again. Let me just replace this photo really fast. Same one, see if it sticks this time. Yeah, and then I can show off the brand that we made yesterday for anyone who didn't join. We set up a brand kit. Lots of folks think about brands as like for businesses only, but personal brands are a really fun way to set up projects. You can do like, I think lots of folks think about personal brand, especially in the case of if you are an influencer, blogger, like you're kind of using yourself as a business. But this is really fun way to use personal brand for like just projects. So let me replace the background shadow. This is going to be exactly what I talked about, where this photo back here has a filter. It has a duotone, I'm assuming. Yeah, it has a duotone filter to give it this shadow. So when I replace it, that should still be here on the new photo. Let's check that out. Perfect. And it moved around a little bit, so I just have to get that into place. A second. And you can kind of, this is like a really fun Adobe Express trick. There isn't currently like a one button like glow or shadow. But you can do this trick where you take a photo, remove the background, duplicate that photo, which this template already has, and put a filter, duotone, grayscale to give it like, to make it all one color. And then you can use it as like shadow or a little bit of a glow effect. I do that on everything. So this is like a shadow, but you can also, if you make it white, you get a little bit of a glow, which is fun. I think I'm going to go back. Question in the chat from Llama Mama, how do I lock a layer? That is currently not a feature of Adobe Express. You can't lock any layers or temporarily hide them at the moment. Something that I've done, which is like a little bit of a workaround, is definitely not the most ideal way to do it. But if you wanted like a template or something you're going to use all the time that you want certain assets to lock, I've like done a project, downloaded it so that like that is one flat layer, and then re-uploaded it with more like with things that I want to move around. So it's definitely not like a perfect workflow, but that is something that I have done. If there's like, I have a podcast, so my podcast template, I downloaded like the frame actually from Illustrator, because you can port in files from other products into Adobe Express, but you could do it the same way. So like the frame is flat. So like the title doesn't change, but then the photo in the back, or the photo, you know, in the cover, and the episode title and the guest name are all editable. So that is one of my little tricks. Okay, I love this. I am going to change the title to my playlist name just by editing the text here. I think I'm going to change this font to Oliver says you can also drag layers behind the background, then you can't see them, which is another great workaround for hiding layers, which I actually have never done. So great point, Oliver. Yeah, obviously it doesn't work if you want to hide the background. That is totally true. So while I'm figuring this out, this is actually great that I chose this template, because it's kind of the aesthetic that I normally go to with projects. I use like cardboard or this like wrinkled paper background all the time. If you are following me on social, like this looks very familiar, but I want to, before I decide like what assets I'm going to change or add, I actually want to make this branded. So we created a brand yesterday. If I go into design, this is not the brand we made yesterday. This is the brand I use for all of my Adobe Express projects. So I'm going to go over here, switch brand. This is the one, if you joined us for day one, that we created. So now we have the brand we want, and I'm going to change the background to one of our brand colors. I'm going to try all of them to see which one I want. And I think, I don't know, what do we think, chat? I'm thinking blue. And I'm going to also swap out this shadow. Maybe let's try the purple. It's funny. I didn't do this on purpose. Maybe these are just part of my favorite colors right now, but I'm now realizing that half of the brand I set up yesterday is literally just the colors of my hair right now, which genuinely was not on purpose, but maybe that's subconscious. Yeah, I don't want that. Let's see how the yellow is. I think purple is my favorite so far. We can change it if we want. Could also make it any other colors, but let's stick with our brand for now. Move this a little bit, make it a little, okay. Now I want to, if I click into, this is a fun thing that I feel like maybe hasn't always been like this. Tell me if I'm wrong, but these two objects are grouped. So if I open the group, I can see them separately, which is easier for me than like trying to, sometimes it's hard to like click into the ones you want. This is also, there are layers on the mobile app, but for me, if I'm doing a project with a lot of layers, like especially digital collages, which like I said, is the kind of thing I'm really into right now, desktop is a lot easier for me to work on. Actually, literally yesterday, I was making a playlist cover on my phone, and halfway through the project, I was like, this is not the right platform for this. But the thing that's so great is that projects sync. As long as you're on Wi-Fi, sometimes check your settings. You may have it set to only sync over Wi-Fi, but I could finish the project on my desktop, which was a lot easier because of all the layers. So that is just one of my little pro tips, depending on how many layers you're working with. So I think I don't want to make these totally one color because I'll lose the dimension. Sometimes I like playing with duotone with like a light and a dark. I think this is the one. And this is also, you can tell the opacity is down. So let me turn that up. Yeah, I think that's what I want. Yeah, let's try that. Sean, I thought it was new. If you're saying it's new, then I think it is. Yeah, the open group function is extremely good. I'm really glad that's there. So this, let's duotone this. We could also check something. Because this does look a little, like it's fine, but we might even be able to replace these with something that is in the color scheme that we want. So let's just see if there is a piece of tape that matches the branding a little better, because it might just look better than the way this is right now. Or could do like the light gray was in the brand. Let's see how this looks. Huh. That is interesting. Okay, I'm going to, instead of doing replace, I'm just going to try to add a new one and see what that does. Something interesting is that if you hit replace with design assets, sometimes like the box is, I think, the same size as the original, and then you have to go into like the crop and shape option to have the box match the new asset, but that is not what that was. How do you delete a color from the project palette? Do you mean like when I go into here, these brand colors, if that's what you're talking about, I would have to go into the brand and I could delete one. Or change it. I'm actually, now that you say that, not positive you can delete a brand color, but the current palette is just pulled from the project. So if you want to, I don't think you can like edit these. They would update though as you change the colors in your project. But if you go into colors, another thing you can do, so like this is our brand color palette at the top. You can just use a different color palette. So if you haven't set up, it up in your brands and you want to choose a whole new color palette, you can just scroll through here and choose a different one. With the tape, Llama Mama says, what if the tape is purple and the text is yellow? Too loud? Let's see. Ooh, let's try this glittery one. I might have to do a darker text color. Okay, let's see how we feel about that. I'm going to delete this and move this down. All right. Yeah, thanks, Sean, for checking. I think you confirmed what I was guessing, which is that the only way to change your color palette is if you're using it from brands, then you can set it up that way. But thank you for checking for me. Okay, let's try one more. Let's see if we can find maybe, I want it to be, let's see if this feels right. I'll delete this one. Okay. I think I hate it. I think I want these to match. But I will try this just in case. Nope. Don't like that. Let's keep trying. I want to do, yes. Is this? Yes. Okay, perfect. These match, which is just what I wanted. This feels better instantly. Which do we like more? We'll try yellow. That is interesting. What do we think? I think that's a little too hard to read, but if you like it in the chat, then we'll keep it. While we're figuring that out, I'm going to, so these stars are cool, they're fine. But I want more. Something that is a little bit of a trick that I like using is, this is pretty obvious, this is stars, but also sometimes I'm not sure if something that I'm creating is a shape or a design asset. There is one way to check it out. And if you go into Discover and search something, so let's say we want to check stars. If you're not sure if what you're looking for is like a photo or a background or a shape or a design asset, the thing that's really nice about the Discover button at the top is that it searches whatever search term in all of the different categories. So this is all the star templates, all the star text mockups, all the star photos, shapes, design assets, and backgrounds. And then one other trick for when I'm creating, again, this one's pretty obvious, but sometimes there's an element to a project where I want to search for something close to it, but I kind of have no idea what search terms they used. If you hit replace, you can see where the element came from and what search term got you there. So this came from searching stars and design assets, which I do all the time. So I kind of have this particular search memorized. And I know there are a ton in here that I really like. Let's do I really love the illustration style. I would love to be a better illustrator. Maybe that's something that I can practice this year, but I'm always really drawn to these illustrated design assets. What I was talking about before is I can't tell if this is a little bit cut off. If you replace and aren't sure if you have the full image, you can go into crop and shape. So I can see okay, that was the whole thing. But if you want to check, you can make the box bigger and just make sure it's all in there. If you hit replace, sometimes it's cropped. So I want to make this within brand 2. Let's do these with the dark purple, make them a little bigger, definitely put them behind. me here. Oops. Cool. Let's do that. And I think I've decided that I want this to be the lighter gray. That's making me feel better. And just to make this a little more collagey, I want to add a few more things. So I saw a few like paper cutout stars. Yeah. Let's see what these look like. I was a scrapbooker back in the day. And I definitely still have like, I loved it. I love like cutting things out, collaging things. It's just kind of, I don't have the capacity for projects like that anymore. Like you really do need to have, you know, a bunch of physical items around. And I always got nervous with photos, like cutting into film, which is how I used to do it back in the day. Not film, but like printed photos. So doing digital collages where if I mess something up, which I clearly do all the time, I can just hit the undo button. So this is like spoiling me, but digital collages are so fun to me in that way, that you can do this all day. You can play around with it and then you can keep it or not, but it's not as serious as doing things physically, which again, I think is very cool. But Adobe Express has been a little bit of my creative outlet in like digital collage crafting. Okay, let's make this a little smaller. Maybe do like one more thing. This up. And actually, I think this is great. Yeah. Definitely easy to cut people you don't want out of photos, Carol. You're exactly right. Okay, so this is my finished playlist cover. I am going to download it so that I can upload it to Spotify. Probably should have changed the project name so it's not my project for the millionth time. But I also wanted to show this. We showed off Scheduler a little bit yesterday, but that is one of my other favorite features of Adobe Express is that if you hit this schedule button, so for example, say like this is, you know, the party playlist that I made, and say that I wanted to share this with my friends on social who, you know, came and hung out with me, and I want to share the music we listened to with them so they can listen to it if they want. I could share this playlist cover on whatever platforms I want. I mentioned this yesterday, but if you are using purely personal accounts, Instagram and Facebook, you have to have a business account, but Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, you can use any of your accounts, or you can use your personal account because there isn't a differentiator. So I will write a caption. And add a little, emoji. You can add hashtags as a first comment on Instagram if you would like. And you know what? I'm actually going to add the link from Spotify. So let me open that. I'm going to go into this playlist and you can right here change the episode image or playlist image. I'm so used to doing podcasts that everything feels like an episode to me. So while that is taking its time, let me see if that'll work. Okay, great. I can here grab the link to my playlist. And just to go back, I really, really like having all of these playlist covers custom made in Express. You can also do all of this more branded. So I've seen some really beautiful Spotify playlist libraries where like it's set up kind of like a library with different like books in a really cohesive way. So you could do this all in the same color palette or all with the same template in different themes. Mine is a little bit chaotic, but you can also change these whenever you want. So you can like swap these out, make new playlists, do whatever you want. So I am going to drop the link to that here. And I think yeah. So I can replace the image with the link image if I want. That will not work on Instagram anymore because you can't just drop links on Instagram, but I can hit preview and see what it'll look like on Twitter and Facebook. And then if I wanted to post it, I could. I'm going to draft it because I don't actually want to post that. So now it's drafted and I can right click and remove it from draft and publish it for real if I decide that I want to do that. So that is one like digital playlist, or sorry, digital collage playlist. Now I want to show off one of the other superpowers of templates, which is taking one template and making it in a bunch of different themes. So I showed this yesterday, but using libraries is one of my favorite ways to like collect things that I want to see over and over, kind of collect my favorites. So this is the one I showed yesterday. It's a lot of my favorite templates. And I pulled this together, some of my favorite playlist covers, because I do love just scrolling the search in Adobe Express, but also sometimes I lose things and I don't want to lose them. So this is a way to know that everything that I have found and loved is going to be here for me to use whenever I want. Clearly, I have a type though. Like this is all very similar color palette, pretty similar aesthetic. So I have a very specific style. Let's try this one to create from. This default is like it's called Weekend Wake Up. It's like a morning playlist. Also just to call this out, you may notice that the brand changed from the last project we opened. You can have multiple brands in Adobe Express and choose like a primary. And so that will be the default brand every time you open a project. So I'm going to switch it back to this in case we want to use the same brand again. And again, looking at the elements, this one is nice and straightforward. It only has 3 layers. So I think we can really do something switching them out, changing the colors, changing the fonts. So something that I love to do and sometimes forget is if you want to see the before and after of a template that you have remixed, even if it's just for fun, just to see like how your creativity has changed it, you can hit this button down here. Both of these add a new page. So this button will add a blank new page in the same dimensions, which you can change, and this will duplicate your page. So if I hit that, now right now they're the same, but now I can see how the template started and see how we end up changing it. So this is a weekend wake up. I pulled a list of some possible playlist themes. Let's do like the opposite of a wake up. Let's do a electric dance party playlist and see what we come up with. So let's change the title first so I remember what we're doing. Oops. Electric dance party. And let's choose the font first. If anyone has any favorites, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to do my handy dandy recommended fonts. I like that a lot. I don't know if that's the vibe I want. Maybe I'll start. Actually, I like this font so much, I think I'm going to change the theme of the playlist. Let's do this and let's have it be Throwback Tunes. Cool. Okay. I also want this to be spaced a little differently. Those are really close. So I'm going to move this a little bit. Let's do like 15. Cool. And let's choose the photo first, so that we can decide what colors to use. Let's choose the color palette off of the photo. I'm gonna use an Adobe stock photo. That is one of my favorite sneaky tricks of Adobe Express, except it's not a trick and it's not really sneaky, but Adobe Express syncs with Adobe stock photos. And it's pretty magical, actually. You can use them for any of your Express projects. So if you have a free account, you can use the entire free library. If you have a premium account, I think it's over 160 million stock photos, which is truly bonkers. And you don't have to do any extra licensing. You can just use them. So wake up is not what we want. Let's see what happens if we type in 70s. Okay. Actually, this is working. So this is an actual photo, but we could totally swap it out and do something that is a pattern. Let's see what this one looks like. This is one of my favorite things that happens sometimes. There is a duotone filter on this already, so we turn that off. I actually love this. I want this to stand out a little more, and it's pretty thin. So what I'm going to do is first change the color. Let me see. Let me pull something from here, and then if we need something way more contrasty, we can do that. But let's like use this yellow. And then I want to add a shape around it, because you can just separately add a shape. I've done that before. But you can also add a shape around the text if you want it to dynamically move with the text and how that is set up. So let's try that first. And let's do like suggested. No. Actually, maybe, yeah. You can change how big the shape is around it. You can change the opacity of it. Let's see. I might try out making, let's see if I space this a little more. I don't know if I like that more or less. Let's do it like this. And let's make this a little smaller. Hi, Ryan. Thanks for joining us. We are making custom playlist covers in Adobe Express using our personal brand. Okay. I like this a lot. And then we can use our current palette. And we can also replace this shape. Let's see. So the original search term was music. Let's try something like this. Yeah, cool. Okay. So that is one version of like a more 70s style. Let's go back to the original and duplicate it again and do something completely different. Maybe this is right up my alley. Let's do like video game soundtrack playlist. That is what I listen to a whole lot. And I know that there are some really fun gaming photos because I have scoped those out before. So let's head back to font recommendations. Oops. And see what they're going to recommend this time. Yeah, cool. Let's try that. And I also want to spread out the spacing a little more. Cool. Replace this graphic. Let's see what gaming has. Yeah. Cute. Okay. Great. And now we can replace this photo. I don't want to be like super on the nose, so we could search. Let's search video game, see what that gives us. Yeah, something like this, I feel like it's not like super on the nose. Maybe what does this look like? Let's see. Turn off the duotone filter again. Whoa. Yeah. Cool. I am into that. I want to change this color though, even though the pink works. And this is a little wild. Let's try the suggested. Maybe. Yeah, I think I'm into that. Okay, we have time to do, I think, one more. Let's hit the duplicate again. If anyone in chat has a recommendation of something that you would like, otherwise, let's do a study soundtrack. I just finished grad school like 6 months ago, and my God, the number of study soundtracks that I put together to finish that was intense. So we can replace this with, oh, sorry, Sean. Grab the light blue next to the vase. Actually, you know what? It's not too late. We can do it. Let's swap this out. I think that's a great suggestion. Let's do, yeah. Yep. Great suggestion. Looks better. Thank you, Sean. Okay. So let's swap this out. We can do maybe, let's see what books gives us. I don't know if I want to like, I mean, this is pretty good. You know what? Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do this. Let's do this one. Yep. Make it a little bigger. Cool. And then instead of looking up, I mean, we can look at studying photos. I think that this is not actually the vibe that, like, when you're studying, you want something calming and relaxing and not to remember what you're doing in this way. So let's do, maybe if we search like meadow. This is feeling this is giving me like Lord of the Rings vibes, which is cool. Okay, maybe I'll add this one just in case. Yeah, actually, this is like nice and peaceful. I'm into it. So we started with this duotone filter in all pinks, but let's try it in a different color palette. So there are some pre-made options. I scroll through these a lot. There's like a sepia, there's sort of like a black and white grayscale. And sometimes I just scroll through these to see what, like this one feels good to me. See what I'm thinking. In my personal projects, I use these two a lot, but they feel more energetic, less calming. So yeah, I think I'll stick with this one, but maybe, nope. Maybe change this purple a little bit. Maybe make it a little deeper. Yeah, cool. And I like that this is a pinkish color. You can, you know, swap both of them out. So if we change this one, make it like yellow, make it sort of blue and sci-fi, but I do really like, yeah, I really like how this feels. Cool. Yeah, great. So, nope, not yellow. Maybe we can pull like one of these purples. Okay, I like that where it's a little more muted. And let's swap out this font too. Explore a couple more options over here. This is one of my favorites. I don't think that is right for this, but maybe we should do one more as like a dance party. I feel like there are so many great dancey vibes in the font recommendations. I really like thin fonts. They are just kind of tricky to read over a busy background. So instead of doing the same trick as last time, I think I'm going to try something new, which is adding a shape, a separate shape. Let's check this out. Oops. Extend it. Probably make it a little smaller. Pull it behind here. And there are a few options we can do. Excuse me, something really light like this, and can also affect the opacity. That's one option. We can also go the opposite way and do something dark and maybe bring it down a little bit more. I think the lighter was better, but we might have to change the, yeah, that's not readable, but we can fix this by swapping out the test color. Let's do, yeah. And I think we can bring this down even a little more. Nope, I'm lying. Cool. And you can change this if you want it to be like, you know, halfway through. You can also make it smaller, which let's try that. And decrease the size of this. Yeah, cool. Okay. Into it. Yeah, I think we actually can do one more. Let's do like a dancey one. There are so many fun dance fonts and things. So let's keep it weekend and weekend dance party. Head back to my favorite font recommendations. I think I use this more than anyone else. This is my, unless I'm using my brand font, which again is one of my favorite tricks, why I love setting up brands, because all of this is pre-thought out for me. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I already have the colors and I already have the fonts that I want to use. But for this kind of project where it's playlist covers, it's a little more fun to play around. You can let loose a little bit. So let me see if I can find this one. Or maybe this would be good, like, this is making me kind of think of the beach. Let's make this a beachy theme. So let's call it Surf the Perfect. I'm gonna make this all one line, make this like even out on both sides. Cool. Let's see if we can replace this to be a wave. Can we scrub to change font size? Explain what you mean, Llama Mama, with your question, or Sean is already answering. Thank you, Sean. Are those font colors and backgrounds default, or did you choose them? So something that is interesting, and I'm not totally sure why it's showing up blue here. What normally happens with font recommendations is that it pulls in the background. So I'm not sure why with this it isn't. And the font colors and backgrounds, this is the original template that I chose. So when I replace, like when I duplicate the page, it keeps all of those. Is that what you're asking, Carol? Oliver says being in bed is definitely my idea of a weekend party. Honestly, that is extremely real. I love sleeping so much. I am with you. Okay, let's change this to a wave. Perhaps. Here we go. Maybe something a little more abstract, which I like. Yeah, let's just do these. Cool. And then we'll replace this with a stock photo from the beach. Wow, it's snowing everywhere right now, and these look great. I love coral color palettes, so this one is speaking to me. Turn that filter off. And yeah, because this photo is wider than the square palette, we can decide if we want like mostly coral, if we want more blue. Let's keep it on this side. And this pink is not a great choice. What if we make it this? Nope. Let's try pulling in this blue. Maybe. Nope. Let's try this, but maybe moving it. Nope. Okay. So what I'm going to do to see if I can make this a little easier to read is actually do an effect on the photo. So yeah, bumping up the contrast definitely is helping. Cool. Okay. So we have made a multiple page project, which, like I said, maybe I'll go back and remix all of my Spotify playlist covers to make them more cohesive like this, because I think it's really fun to have everything in a similar, like these are obviously very different. We totally changed the template. But you can hit this button to see all of the different ways that we took this default playlist and changed it into, I mean, and these are pretty basic changes too. Like, you know, we only swapped out a couple things. But this is like a cohesive library of playlist templates. And if you wanted to, like now looking at them all together, this one kind of stands out in a way that I don't like. So I can just click back into it if I want. I think I just, yeah, don't really like the way that this looks anymore, seeing them all together. So maybe something like this feels a little better. I can download all of them if I want. I can download all the pages and they'll download as a zip file, or I can download them individually and then could manually add them to my Spotify. And again, if you want to schedule any of these to social media, something I know we're talking about personal brand, but I also talk about Patreon a lot because I love it. And one of my Patreon like gifts every month is a playlist. So this would be a really fun way to put like all of my Patreon reward playlists into one folder, or sorry, one project. I can download them and then I could go into this scheduler and like remind everyone of the rewards that they're getting. So a lot of the things that you can use, like we're talking about this week in the Express Bootcamp for your personal brand, you can also use for a small business or freelance or really any kind of projects you're doing. That's the great thing about Adobe Express is that it really is something that you can use for all kinds of projects. So that is it for my playlist cover template remixes for the day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to the chat. If you're not catching this live, you can ask any questions either in the comments of this video or, like I said, feel free to @ me at Jordan Danae Ellis all over the internet. And please subscribe to the Adobe Live YouTube, the Adobe Express channel, and we will be back tomorrow with day 3 of our Adobe Express Bootcamp. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you later.